Good evening and welcome.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Jones live show.
Live with the Joneses.
We have to get that right.
Welcome to Live with the Joneses, where faith comes first, family is our mission, and together every day is an opportunity to be the light of the world. This is the show where we talk about everything from marriage and family, homeschooling, parenting, all of that. We get real, we share our stories, and we have a whole lot of fun. So you can watch us live every Thursday night at 8 p.m. Here on Facebook. Or after the fact, you can check out these videos on YouTube. Or you can find us on iTunes via podcast. So thank you for joining us tonight.
iTunes, is that a new one?
Yes. So last week...
I didn't even know that, and I'm his wife.
So last week I added these, all the previous... So that's 9 episodes so far. Those are all on iTunes now. So you can get it as a podcast. So that means you can listen to it while you're jogging in the morning or working out at the gym.
Is that free?
Yes, it's free. You can listen to it on your commute to work. So there's no excuse not to listen, not to watch.
So if you have a phone, you go to iTunes, download
so if you're on an iPhone, you just go to iTunes. If you're on an Android like we have, you have to download an app like... I use Podcast Addict, and then you just search for whatever the podcast you want. So in our case, it would be Live with the Joneses. Podcast Addict is one, Stitcher is another. So just look for a podcasting app, and it's that simple.
There.
You look it up, it's free, and we'd love to have you join us every week. Obviously, those won't be live, but if you can't join us live, then you can always listen afterwards. So tonight, this is episode number 10.
Ooh, 10 is a special number.
We made it this far. Sometimes we get discouraged or we doubt whether or not we want to continue doing this. There's always challenges. There's other things that come up in life that take precedence. So it's really hard for us to do this with the family. But I think we feel that we're called to do this, and until God shuts the door and shows us another way, then we'll just continue on. So, and if you're finding these videos and these podcasts to be helpful to you, if you're benefiting from them, please let us know. Even if you just like the video, or
just a thumbs up,
or comment,
like it,
and just tell us thanks for this one.
If you don't like them, just say I don't like them.
Yeah, thumbs down or thumbs up. Let us know, because if it's something that people aren't getting value out of, then we can always find another way to do this. So let us know what you think of the show, either with a thumbs up, a thumbs down.
Is there a thumbs down?
No, but
there's a sad face.
You could type in thumbs down, I guess.
There's a confused face.
If you love the show, then give us hearts, okay?
There's a smile face. Look at my hands.
Nice and pink.
They're pink. I did a project with my mom today. Super pink. I like.
So tonight.
Oh, you're wearing pink.
I am wearing pink.
It looks white. On this one. But his hairy chest.
That's right.
Ricky, don't show your hairy chest, please.
Man's man. Anyway, so tonight we're going to be talking about what you're worth. That's the title of our episode tonight. What you're worth. We're going to share some stories about some people that we met this week.
Did she eat it?
One.
My dog just ate my eggs Benedict from the morning.
So we are going to be talking about some people that we met earlier this week and how they impacted us.
I'm eating crackers.
Okay, go eat it then.
Me too.
Alright, so we're going to be talking about people that we met earlier this week. We're going to talk about the value of the human person. We're also going to do a quick review of the movie Hidden Figures. If you haven't seen that one, then stay tuned for that. And we'll also be sharing, obviously, what the Bible has to say about all this, as we always do. So if you can join us for the rest of the evening, well, not the rest of the evening, but for the next
hour,
53 minutes, we'll be here. We would love to have you. And we're going to go ahead and get started. So you going to go first, or am I going to go first? So it's not ladies first? Well, let me just grab a...
We're always running around, so we need to have a drink before we start.
We get dehydrated.
We get dehydrated. We never drink water. We're so bad about that. We need to drink water.
Well, I drink some water. She drinks no water. So earlier this week, I had an interesting experience. I work in a little, it's not like a big office building, it's maybe a complex of 10 or so offices. And so in the office where I work, I came out and there's a courtyard in the middle. And so I was leaving for work for the day.
before you go to that part, I guess I can go first.
Okay.
So I decided that day to make him a 3-course meal with, is that how you say 3-course meal? No, I guess it was. Like, I made him a good, nice water. I made him fish with, like, lemon sauce. I made him rice, mashed potatoes. So I made him, like, a nice dinner. And I was like, okay, it's 5 o'clock. He's not texting me. He's not calling me. Okay, it's 5:30. How come he's not calling me? I'm calling him. It was about to be 6. I was getting upset. I was like, why is he not answering the phone? Like, that's not like him, This was 2 days ago, right? 2 days ago?
3 days ago.
3 days ago. So I was like upset because I'm over here waiting for him. I'm like, finally.
It's getting cold.
Finally, like, today, I was, like, on top of, like, dinner. Like, usually, like, he gets home, it's still not ready. So, it's like, everything was ready. I was like, okay. Like, out of all days, like, I decided to make him a nice early dinner, and he's not home. So, I was pretty upset. Not pretty upset. I was just, disappointed. So, he calls me. He's like, oh, babe, like, all quiet. I'm like, what happened? He's like, it better be good because, you never do this, Oh, yeah, it's really, really good, So then he explained what happened.
Right. So what happened is I'm coming out of the office, and there's this little old lady sitting on the bench outside of, like, in this little courtyard in the office building. And so I came out, and she kind of motioned towards me. She said, hi, how are you doing? And I kind of was ready to just keep walking, but she kind of, I don't know, something about it, if she waved. I don't remember if she waved or if she just kept speaking and I couldn't hear. So for some reason I was kind of drawn to go and see what she wanted to say. And so I approached her. She was sitting on the bench, a really little old lady, but she was dressed nice. And so I went up to her and she said, oh, which way are you going? Or something like that. Basically asking where I was going. And I said, oh, do you need a ride? And she said, yes. So it turns out that she needed a ride because she had been dropped off by a friend and she was going to take the bus home. But she was really shaky and she was worried that she wasn't going to be able to make it home on the bus. And so this lady, after I talked to her, I realized she's almost 90 years old and she's walking by herself. She has a cane, but she's walking by herself. And I just felt like so bad that, she was going to have to take the bus home. And it wasn't very far. It was only a few miles, but, in LA with traffic and everything. So I said, all right, yeah, I'll give you a ride home. It's actually on my way, so it didn't take me out of my way. It took time away. But I went and grabbed the car. I tried to help her because she could literally barely move. So I went and grabbed the car. She got in the car, and she was so happy. She was like, oh, you came back. And I gave her a ride home. And so on the way home, probably took us maybe 20 minutes, and we're just chit-chatting, talking about, I was asking her questions about her life, I guess she had lived in other cities and stuff. So we were just kind of talking about all of that stuff. And she shared some some interesting stories. And by the time we got home to her house, I was, I got out, I opened the door for her, I helped her up to the door, and she's like, oh, park the car right here. I want you to come inside. I want to show you something. And so I didn't know this lady. I had never met her before. So it was kind of, what's she going to show me? I wasn't afraid because it's a little old lady. She moves. I don't know if you know, like a chameleon. Like, have you ever seen a chameleon, how they walk, like in slow motion? That's how this lady is. So I wasn't worried about she was going to, like, stab me or anything. But it was weird because, I'm usually not that outgoing. I'm usually not a people person. That's more Johana. But for some reason I felt different. Like I felt called to help this old lady. And so I went in the house. She was showing me pictures on the wall of her family. She was telling me some stories about her family. And so it was a interesting little conversation. Johana called me once or twice while we were there in the house, but I didn't want to be rude and say, oh, let me answer the phone.
My wife is calling. Let me tell her I'm here.
But no. This lady was like really into telling the story, so I didn't want to interrupt her. So, and this was only maybe like 15 minutes, 10 minutes while I was there at the house.
But it felt like forever for me.
Johana can't stand to be without me.
Oh my gosh.
So I dropped her off, and after I talked to her, I said, well, would it be okay if I, come and, see you again or check up on you or give you a call or something? I gave her my phone number, and she gave me her phone number. And
so he said that because she told him that She basically doesn't have any family. She doesn't have nobody. She's never had kids, so she's basically on her own in this place, you know?
Very much on her own. And so I felt called to want to just be present there. And I'm not saying I want to, like, adopt her as my grandma or anything, but I wanted to, you know, maybe she just needs someone to talk to. Maybe she doesn't get visitors. And so I felt, you know, I wanted to hear her out, let her talk, let her kind of have some company. And so I got to, once I got home, I told Jo, or actually it was on the phone that on the way home after I left the lady's house, I called Johana, told her what had happened, and that's when she said, "Oh, well, it better be good." And so I was like, "It was good, believe me. It's not." It's not like I stayed late at work.
You don't know what just happened to me. I was like, "What?" Like he was like freaking me out, like all serious. I'm like,
I was honestly like about to cry. Like I felt very bad for this lady, and so like I was pretty emotional, which is rare. Like for me, like when it comes to like helping other people or people, especially people I don't know, like that's not something that really pulls my heartstrings. Like I don't get like.
Sorry, that's just Ricky.
How would you say? Like I don't get emotional about that kind of stuff. Like I'm willing to help people, but it's not like something
that's
that.
Ricky.
It doesn't come natural to me. And so in this instance, I was like, oh wow, you know, if I feel this way, maybe it's something that, you know, God is calling me to do. And so. Anyways, I told Johana about the whole story, what had happened, and then I got home and we were just talking about it, and I realized, you know, our culture, our society, especially here in America, but, you know, around the world, but especially here in America, is very, I'm going to use a big word that Johana won't like, utilitarian. And that means that, like, we have this view of people, this value of people, of being what, you know, the value of the person comes from what they can do, what they can contribute to society. And so that's why when it comes to elderly people like this old lady, nobody really cares about her. Nobody's looking out for her because she doesn't have much to contribute to society. She's not going to run a company. She's not going to go out and help people, right? So, you know, a lot of people will see those kind of people, whether elderly or even, you know, young children or babies, as a burden to society because we have to go out of our way to look out for them. And so that's what I mean by this utilitarian worldview, is that we look at people as valued only by what they can do, you know, what their job is or like what they can contribute. You know, what do they have to offer to us? What do we get out of their existence, right? And so
their person.
I was reflecting on that a lot after that experience because it's true, you know, and that's why this whole idea with abortion and euthanasia is so big, because both with abortion, unborn children, and with elderly euthanasia, they're people that we don't value anymore in society because they have nothing to contribute to us. They actually are a burden to us in a way, and so that's something that I felt was very sad. I felt it was very troubling. And I remember I talked to somebody at work the next day, and I told him what had happened. He's like, "Oh, I saw you. Did you lose your car or something?" And I went and talked to him, and he said that he's like, "Oh, you're such a nice person." He's like, "If that would have been me, I probably would have like pretended like I didn't hear and walked the other way, or probably would have pretended like I dropped something and picked it up."
Got a phone call.
And I was just like, "Wow, like it's true." Like, and I mean, it depends. You know, some people, you know, will feel that way like if it's a homeless person or something. But like for this little old lady, I was like, my heart was breaking for her to imagine leaving her on the street where she probably walks like a mile every 10 hours, you know? So it would be impossible for her. I was so surprised that she was out by herself. But the reason I wanted to share that story is because I feel like it's something that back in earlier times, and even just from, you know, what I've seen of like Latino culture, especially Mexican culture, that's something that is different than here in America. Because here in America, when our relatives get older, we do with them, we put them in a home, or we send them somewhere else so somebody else can deal with them. It's too much of a burden to us. It's something that we don't want to take on that task of having to care for those people because we have better things to do with our lives, right? Whereas, like in places like Mexico or a lot of the Hispanic countries, it's more of a blessing to be able to bring your older relatives, the elderly, like grandparents,
your parents
when you're into the home to live with you, because they might not have anything to offer in a physical utilitarian sense. You know, they're not going to be cleaning or cooking or doing anything like that. They're not going to help you pay the bills. But they have a lot to offer when it comes to the wisdom. Imagine all the years that they've lived, all the experiences that they had, the stories that they can share, and just the wisdom that they have of having gone through all these experiences that we go through on a daily basis. They've gone through those again and again and again. I was like, just to think of this lady, and she was the one who mentioned it. I told her how old I was. I'm 32. She's like, oh, you're about a third of my age. And just to think about that, like, wow, you know, she's been alive for almost a century. Like, imagine how much has changed in the past century. So it's just, I mean, there's so much I could say. But the main idea I wanted to bring up was that we don't value people on who they are. We value them on what they can do. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in a bit. But Joanna's going to share the story about somebody that she encountered just yesterday, actually. Right?
Yeah. So that was his, you know, his weekly what do you call it? Experience. Like I mentioned, you know, every Thursday we are live, and it seems like we go through something that you know, it's perfect to share with you guys for a reason, you know. And so we went through that, and till right now, till today, like we're still in shock by what happened. Like how much, like from one day to another, your life could just change by like one experience, you know. And you never think about it. Like, you know, we're so focused on, you plan your whole year, you know, oh, we're gonna do this and we're gonna do that, but you don't know how just by one, you know, for us, we call it God's plan, you know, how it could definitely change like from one day to another, you know. So it could either be a blessing or, you know, so that's when prayer comes as well too, you know, with the experiences that you go through on a daily basis, you know. So that was his experience. And then, like I said, yesterday we went to Disneyland because he's been wanting to go with us. We went with the boys. I went with the boys last week. So he's like, oh, let's go to Disneyland together, you know, as a family. So we did. It was fun. We enjoyed it. We love spending time together. And just, you know, being thankful that we get to spend the time with the boys at this age, you know, and we just love it. So we're about to like leave. It was like around 8:30. They do the final like light parade at Disneyland, and so we get a good spot like at the very end, because usually like at the very end there's not a lot of people. So we get in the entrance, yeah. So we got a pretty good spot in the front. We kind of know our ways now because we've been there like twice a month for the past year. And so we get like almost in the front, you know, very close. And then there's two young girls sitting down.
Monica says she can't hear us, so that might be something with Joanna's phone. But Monica, join us over on the Jones Life, because I know that volume is working. Unless it's just your phone, because I know.
Hi, Angie. Hello. Can you guys hear us? Hi, Brittany. Hi, Martina. Somebody just commented that they can't hear, so can you guys...
This one works, because I know that volume is
Joanna?
working. No, that's mine.
No, check on mine. Can you guys just say yes if you guys can't hear, so we can know if it's either her phone or her computer or my phone. Let's see. Oh, that's the ringtone. Nope. Hi, Angie. Hello everyone. Okay, Angie can hear us. Perfect.
So I think it's Monica's phone.
Sister, if you want to...
well, we can't tell her because she can't hear you.
I can now.
There you
Perfect. Go. There you go. So they could hear us. So where was I? So, yeah, so we get a front seat. There's these young teenage girls, you know, sitting down because you don't want to wait 30 minutes just standing up. So usually they let you sit down, you know. But once it's getting closer to the parade, by law, you have to stand up because if it's like an emergency or fire safety stuff, like
you don't want to get trampled.
Exactly. So you have to stand up. They make you stand up. It makes sense, you know. We're used to it. They just come up to you and like, "Ma'am, you have to stand up with the kids." We're like, "Okay." That was offer up. Oh, it's because I turned on the ringtone. Sorry. Ringtone. Okay, it's muted. Sorry. So yeah, we get a good seat. Next to us is these two young girls, and these Latinos just come up and go in front of them because there was some space, and I'm like they didn't even say excuse me, can we take the place? Like, we're used to it because that's how Disney works, you know. All these amusement parks, people are just there's some that don't have any courtesy, you know. So there's like 6 of them that just like got in front of them, and I'm like, the girls were there first, you know. So I was just like, Lord, just help me, you know, just help me. So I thought they were Mexicans, but I guess they were Colombian. They started speaking Spanish, but I overheard the guy saying that they were from Colombia, because another couple comes, you know, like we're like sardines there, you know, and they started talking to each other, and all I could hear, because they were like literally like where we and Ricky are, you know, very close. All they were talking about, the first thing they introduced themselves. Oh, you know, where are you guys from? And I guess that's why I heard it. They were from Colombia, and the first thing that they talk is who they are, you know, what their jobs are all about. So I guess the first couple that was there, he's an architect, and she's a good, like, known lawyer in Colombia, I guess. And they were just talking about money, politics, you know, having this, having that. So it was like all like money stuff, you know. So I was just like, I don't know, my head just started hurting, you know. I told Ricky, like, I don't have nothing against, you know, careers or nothing against, like, I think being successful is a wonderful thing, you know, but all that they were just talking about is about, you know, how successful they were, you know. Anyhow, so it kind of like shocked me, you know, and I was like, that's not my lifestyle, you know. And I've always told Ricky, like, I don't want to be a millionaire, you know, like, maybe to help people, you know, but it's a different lifestyle, you know. So later on, her friend comes up to her and he's like, oh, you know, we met this couple, and he's like, basically just saying, like, they're good, like, now we have good connections, you know. And it's like, and that's when they kind of all, you know, we joined the two examples that we're showing you. It's like, what a difference of how Ricky mentioned, you know, your people, the first thing that you see in others is what good do they offer, you know, what successes they have, and that shouldn't, how do I say it? That
shouldn't be what defines their
value.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I was just like, all they could talk about is like how much they have and how much they've traveled, and it's like, yeah, it's good. It's a good thing that you are blessed to, you know, to enjoy life, you know. But it was just too much for me.
I think what sets you more off. Not that she like went off on these people or anything, but
no, I didn't. It was like in my mind, you know. I was like, oh.
But what I think set you off though was the fact that when
humbleness.
they said humility,
being humble, yeah.
But
I don't know. It was just.
But I'm saying when the other, you said the friend showed up, and she's like, oh, he's an architect or something. Like it was oh, we should talk to them because of, you know,
who they are.
They have money or they have a
they're
good career, you know, so they're important people, and that's what kind of set you off, because it's like we're talking about that. Why do they have to be important people for you to want to talk to them? You know, what if they didn't have money? What if they're poor? Is there a reason why we shouldn't talk to them? Isn't that sharing of the same, coming from the same country, enough to
value
something? To
something?
value just the fact that, hey, you know, we're from the same country, whether or not we both have money or not. So I think that was what put you over the edge when you were just like, oh, these people. But I mean, the reason we wanted to talk about this today is because I think it's a problem that, it's like we said, especially here in America, but like in this case, these are people that aren't even from America. This is Colombia. So it's not something that's just here in America, but it's something that I think in our society in these days, we don't look at people for who they are. We look at them for what they have or for what they do. So we value them by those things. We don't value them by the fact that, hey, this is my fellow human being. You know, this is my brother and sister in Christ. So that's a challenge, I think, for all of us.
In many areas, I think, you know, in the work industry, you know, in community, church, and so, it's like I say, you know, it's everywhere. It's general, everywhere, you know. So it's a eye opener for us, you know. And I always like to bring this example. You know, we have a friend that she's always telling us, like, as you guys all know, we're very entrepreneurial.
That's the word of the day. Entrepreneurial.
Whoa. Okay. Calm down, please. What did mommy tell you?
Quiet time, buddy.
And when we do something, we do it because we love it, you know, like we feel called to do it. But I lost my train of thought. Thanks, Elijah. What was I gonna say?
Entrepreneurial. Like people say.
Oh, about my friend, and she's always, you know, telling us like, you guys are gonna like be millionaires, and I was like, and I always give her the same answer. I'm like, I don't want to be a millionaire, you know, like I prefer, you know, serving, like most of you guys know, serving God first, and if He does ever bless us with being millionaires or billionaires or whatever, like hopefully I don't get to that point like these people, you know, the way they were talking.
Hoity-toity.
Sure.
Goofy.
Because I don't want to be like that, because you get so absorbed by the wrong things, you know, and it's like, and again, you know, it's a reminder. So every experience we go through, we see it as, you know, God opening our eyes, and that's why we wanted to do this show, this live show, is to share this stuff with you too, because sometimes we hear it from others, and that's how we know that we need to work on it, you know. So
challenge each other.
Exactly. So yeah, that was pretty rough last night.
So
I don't know, I guess we're just not used to that, you know, like I don't know, like God. Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So I wanted to share a quote. This is from Pope John the 23rd. He says, "No one can be by nature superior to his fellows, since all men are equally noble in natural dignity." And that's something that
Perfect.
goes perfectly what Johana was talking about, right? Like, what I do, if I make more money than somebody else, that doesn't make me a better person. That doesn't make me superior to them. We're all brothers and sisters. We are made in the image and likeness of God. That's what it says in the Bible, in the book of Genesis. It says, God created them, male and female, He created them. It says that He says, God says, let us create man in our own image and likeness. So God creates us in His image. We have dignity because of that. The mere fact that we are human beings is where we get our dignity. Doesn't matter what we do. Doesn't matter, you know, how much stuff we have or what our job is. You know, we put so much value on those things in our lives when they are so, you know, minuscule. They have no bearing on who we are as people. You know, God sees us as His beloved children. Like I remember when we first had our kids, and especially like when they're asleep, when you look at your children when they're sleeping, and your heart just wells up with love for them. And it doesn't matter what they do, doesn't matter any of that. Just the fact that they're your children brings you so much joy and so much love. And I think that's the same way God looks upon us. And He created us because of that, because He wanted to share that love with us. And so that's a beautiful, I think, way to see it. Instead of just seeing, you know, well, if I get and we were talking about this also this week, it's like, you know, we have this idea in life that, okay, once we get to that next step or that next level, then everything's going to be happy. Then life is going to be good, and we're not going to have these struggles and challenges. And so we say, oh, well, you know, for us, you know, oh, once we buy our first home, then life will be easy. We won't have all these problems or these challenges, right?
Yep.
And we think that, honestly, in our hearts, we have this idea that, okay, once I get there, then I'll be all right. And for the most of us, it has to do with money or possessions. So it's like, once I get that new house, or once I buy this car, once I get this better job, or once I get a raise at work. And it's always focused on that.
Me. We like to say me, myself, and I.
Yeah. So it never ends. Because then you get to that next level, and then you're thinking of the next level. It's like you always want to have more and more and more. And the Bible says
I always look at it like, you know, when you buy yourself something new, like you're excited, like, you know, like for the first week, and it's like, yeah. And we noticed that with our car, you know, like we bought it a year ago, and it was like, oh, don't get it dirty with the boys, and it's like, look at it now, and it's like a big mess in there, you know. So again, you know, we talk about this on Engagement Counter, but like once one thing doesn't make you happy or doesn't make you feel good, like you don't care about it. So obviously we know that's it. There's an issue there, you know, and then we can't, you know, take everything so serious, I guess you would say, you know, so personal, you know. So it's again, you know, God's plans are different. God's plans are not our plans, you know. Our plans are not God's plans. There you go. So yes.
So we were gonna talk about Hidden Figures, the movie.
Yeah. So this week, it's like I'm just in awe when I do these shows. When we do these shows, like I sit down like when I'm super tired, like after a long day, and I have to watch a movie. Like we were never like. Well, I guess we watch movies, as a family and stuff. But like now, like it seems like we're watching movies separate. Yes, Monica, that quote was really powerful. He didn't even show it to me until I heard it right now. So
we'll share it again at the end.
Yeah, well, usually we share the quotes at the end again, just so you guys could have them as a reference as well. So last week I was super tired after a long day, cooking, cleaning, motherhood duties, and I sat down and I was gonna watch this movie called Hidden Figures. I think it was last year. It had been last year. It's 3 African American women, pretty famous. Like we're gonna look up their names.
Oh, you want the names?
Yes, please, because they're very well known. There you
Taraji P. Henson,
Octavia Spencer, and Janelle Monáe. Very fancy names, but I saw the cover and I was like, oh, I'm just gonna click and see what it's all about. So again, I told Ricky the story. Basically, it's these 3 women in the 1960s, right? 1960s, and they work for NASA. They're very smart women, very intelligent, very sophisticated, But at that time, there was segregation. Where the black people had to go to one area and the white people had to go to another area, And so they call them human computers, I guess. Like that's their job title at NASA. And so they basically do all these numbers and like not my thing. I like math, but that's like too much. And so, but there's one that was like super like intelligent, And so, anyways, I don't want to give the whole story away, but obviously there was racism. There was a lot of hatred at that time, especially towards black African American women too, and because especially at this area. At this place, it was dominated by men, and so it was rough for these women. There was women, that worked there, but it was worse for African American women, especially at that time. So there was these are the main characters in the movie, These 3 women, they wanted to succeed, they wanted to be better, not to look good, in the eyes of human, but because they wanted to be successful for their family, And so, but they would always stop them. They wouldn't want them to be successful because they're like, we're not going to let a woman, especially African American, be more successful than a white male, guys. So it was Elijah. So it was hard for them, They didn't give up, but they still tried, They tried. They didn't give up. And so one of them, and that's why it's called Hidden Figures, because I guess one of them, she did enter into that, man, population where it was like mostly like, what is the name of them, Ricky?
What?
Like the NASA technology people, I don't know.
Engineers,
but it's called aeronautic engineers, I guess. So she was like really good, So the true story. So I guess she was one of the women. She was the black women that at the end, the first capsule that was launched out of the Earth's atmosphere. So she was the one that did all the coordinations. Coordinations, is that what it's called? Calculations, yeah, like coordinates. There you go. To make this happen, and I didn't even know that. I'm pretty sure a lot of people don't know that, and that's why it's called Hidden Figures. But again, through the whole story, there was a lot of hatred, a lot of jealousy, a lot of just because her color skin, she can't do it. So again, we have a vision, and we just by looking at somebody that because just by looking at the outside, we start thinking other things, and it's like, it shouldn't be like that, like we should get to know that person from within.
Well, and it was first. the idea that they looked at them as not as valuable because they were, not only because they were black, but because they were women.
Exactly.
So they had it really bad.
Yeah, especially and so so that was touching. Like there was some parts that I was like crying because it was a very emotional movie, and so if it wasn't for this, black African American women, I'm pretty sure the man could have probably done it, but she was smart enough to do it like super quick, super fast, so she had a gift, and I was telling Ricky that the director of NASA at that time, like he said, here in NASA, we're not going to make a difference. Everybody's going to be the same. We're going to treat everyone the same. So he even took down like the signs, like, black women only, and like the coffee, things were like only for specific, the people and stuff. So he said no more. Like that's it. We're making everyone equal, and because he wanted to succeed, and it did. So the title says it all, hitting figures. So it was these three women, and at the end it shows them, they're still alive. Yeah, they're still alive. They got award for like what Mother Teresa got.
The Nobel Peace Prize?
No, it wasn't the Nobel Peace, something like that. But and that's so beautiful, huh?
Medal of Honor?
Yeah, Medal of Honor. There you go. So that's the beauty about movies as well, and I think it could speak to us in many different ways as well too. So if you guys haven't watched it, it's called Hitting Figures.
And that's why every week we try to feature a movie, and it always works out.
It happens.
It always works out that whatever the topic is that we're focusing on for that week, we happen to watch a movie that speaks to that same topic. So it's a wonderful thing that happens. I wanted to share another quote. So this one comes from St. Augustine. It says, "People travel to wonder at the height of mountains, at the huge waves of the sea, at the long course of the rivers, the compass of the ocean, at the circular motion of the stars, and they pass by themselves without wondering." And I think that's a powerful quote. I used to always share that when I would teach catechism because it's true. It comes back to that whole idea of the value of the human person. We put so much value on everything else, but when it comes to human life, it's just another thing. And so I think that's a beautiful quote because it shows that, if God created everything, right? That means the mountains, the oceans, the whole universe, the galaxies, the stars, all of these amazing, beautiful things. And those are all beautiful things. They're great things. But when we look at ourselves, we're so much higher up on the scale. We're the crown of creation. We're God's masterpiece. You are God's masterpiece. And you might not feel worthy of that. You might not feel like that's a way to describe yourself. But God chose to make you, and He chose to make you the way you are, the way you look. There's another book I read. I don't remember where I read this, but it says that, it's in Father Joseph, I don't know how to pronounce his last name. He's from Uganda. He has a book called Healing of Families. And he says that the majority of the decisions, the majority of the most important decisions in our lives have been made for us. You don't get to choose where you're born or what you look like or who your parents are or any of those things. You have to live the life that you're given, right? And so... And
it just came to my mind right now... with what's happened this week. We have posted it on the Rock Association of the 34 kids that died in Tanzania, and it was eye opener for us as well, and it was very sad news, but how precious, how your life is so precious, and one day to another it's just gone, just like that, and that happens all over the world, but it's like when it's closer to you, it hits home, and so again, I think that's what we're trying to reach, make across this point, that we need to value every life, if it's from newborn in the mother's womb to the 95-year-old lady, 100-year-old guy out there, because there's there's a purpose, you know, we are the light of the world, you know, so how can we be that light to that person, to those people, you know, to that home that you visit? And so why? Because our lives are precious, you know, and it's a beautiful thing. And so when, you know, they told us about these kids that, you know, they wake up, you woke up, you think you're gonna, you know, go do your exams and come back to your family, and that doesn't happen. Like it was just like, wow, you know, it's sad.
Well, and it's something that as Catholics we believe. The church teaches that every human life has dignity, it's precious, and it should be protected, like as Johana was saying, from conception until natural death. And something that we struggle with again in our society is we think that only the lives that we deem worthy have value, and that's not the way it is. So for example, when it comes to I had mentioned earlier in my story, elderly people, right? They have nothing to contribute to society in you know, utilitarian terms, so why not let them just kind of go away, you know? And so that's that whole idea of physician-assisted suicide or euthanasia or eugenics, right? All of these ways where we try to do away with those people who just become a burden to us, right? You know, some elderly person who has all these, you know, life-threatening diseases and conditions, why waste all this money from insurance and from the government to keep those people alive if they're just going to be a burden, right? Why not just let them die? Why not help them move more swiftly to that? And that's the way a lot of people and a lot of our society as a whole thinks and believes. Is those people, if they're not worth it, might as well get rid of them. That leaves more resources for us, more money for us to do better things. And if you're thinking in that point of view, it makes sense. But we have to remember, as we're trying to talk about here tonight, the value of every single human life. So even though that person is an elderly person, even though they might have life-threatening, you know, illness, does that mean that their life is worth any less than your life? No. They have the same value. And the same is true for those unborn children in the womb. So maybe a woman is pregnant, or maybe even a girl was raped and she becomes pregnant, and that baby is alive and developing within this girl's womb. Is it okay for us to exterminate that life because it's unwanted? Because this girl maybe feels she's not ready to be a parent? Because she doesn't want to have that memory of this, you know, violent attack that happened to her? Is it okay for us to extinguish the life of this unborn child? Does that baby have any less? Does the life of this child have any less value? Of course not. This is a human being. And so that's something that our society has almost lost sight of completely. That there is value in every single human life. And we're not God. We're not able to judge whose life is worth more than somebody else. And so that's something that, you know, we struggle with, because obviously we all have these different preconceived notions when it comes to, like, the movie that Johana was talking about with Hidden Figures. You know, we judge people based on their race, their ethnicity, from where they come from, you know, all these different things. We judge them. Their life is worth less than my life because I'm in a different situation, or I come from a different family background, or a different economic status. And all of those things are just small ways that we use to group ourselves into different categories, but they have nothing to do with the fact that we are human beings and we all have value.
Yeah, and even in the morning we were driving to Ricky's job, and Patrick Madrid was talking about the same thing. So we're like, what? And we didn't even know what we're going to talk about tonight until later on. And so he basically said, you know, like, if you find yourself in a situation that you don't feel comfortable, or something's going on, you know, either with your friends, your family members, and so forth, like, that's when prayer comes, and you ask God to give you the grace to understand that situation, or that experience, or that moment that you're going through, you know. And that's the beauty about our relationship with God. You know, if we don't have that relationship, it's gonna be hard. It's gonna be hard to go through what you're going through, you know, or to accept what God wants for us, you know.
And so I think we're getting close to the end. I wanted to switch gears a little bit and think about, you know, we said the title of this episode is What You Are Worth. So if you think about what you're worth when it comes to, as Johana was talking about, your relationship with God. So for example, Jesus was crucified. He suffered and died on the cross for you personally. And I think we lose sight of that. We think of, you know, he died for the good people, or he died for this group of people, but not that group of people. But Jesus died for all of us. He died for you. He died for us. And if you think about that, what does that say about how he sees us? It shows that he loves you. It shows that Jesus sees in you value, worth, that you are precious in his eyes and he loves you. That's from in the book of Isaiah chapter 43. It says, you are precious in my eyes and I love you. And he talks about how he will give countries and nations to save you. And it's the way that God sees us. God sees value in every single human person. Even murderers, even killers, even rapists. Those people still have value. They might have done horrible things. They might have, you know, caused pain and hardship to other people. But in the eyes of God, those are still his children. You know, in our life, our kids might make bad choices. They might make mistakes. But that will never take away the love that we have for them. And the same is true for God. And that's why when Jesus was hanging on the cross, when he was looking down, he didn't judge those people, even the people who were you know, crucifying him. He says, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. So even those people, he loved them. Even the thieves that were hanging at his side, he says, you know, don't be afraid, for this day you will be with me in paradise. So Jesus sees you. He sees me. He sees all of us. And he has a distinct love for each and every one of us. And he sees the value of our lives. Because if he didn't see the value, I don't think he would have allowed himself to be nailed to a cross, to hang there for hours, to bleed out, to asphyxiate, and to die. All for you. All to be able to save you so that you would be able to come into relationship with God, as Johana was talking about earlier. So I think this whole idea of where do we get our value from, where do we get our worth from? It's not what you do, it's not what you have, it's who you are. And who you are is a child of God.
I was trying to remember, I have a little thing in the kitchen that says, less is more. Do you remember? Let me go get it.
I guess I don't spend enough time in the kitchen because I don't even know what she's talking about. Oh.
It's this little thing, and it's so simple. It's the camera makes it. It says less is more. Super simple, super easy. But sometimes, you know, and that's why I like to have it there. I put my little what's it called?
Recipes?
No, I put my washing thing, sponge, my cleaning sponge to dry off here. And, you know, little things like this that, you know, quotes, like Monica mentioned, I love that quote, you know, that reminds us of, you know, little things like that, you know, why are we here? You know, first of all, why are we in this world? Like, we all have a purpose, you know, and what's that purpose, you know, and why not appreciate, you know, what we have, what our purpose here in life is, you know, and so we all have a purpose. Even you, everyone, the kids, you know, God made us for a purpose. So it's something that we need to always, you know, be wise, discern what's our purpose in this world.
Mm-hmm. And I think we'll end with this kind of reflection question for you to take, you know, away from this video and to go throughout the rest of the week and be thinking about this is a lot of times we might be able to accept that God sees us and values us and sees worth in us, but maybe we struggle to be able to see others the way God sees them. And I think we all have people in our lives who we struggle to love. We struggle to see their worth and their value. So
family members, maybe your mom,
co-workers, you never know.
Dad,
But we all have those struggles.
Sister, your brother, your aunt, your
So
kids.
as you go through the rest of this week, try to bring to mind and see who are the people in your life that you struggle the most to love, that you struggle the most to see as God sees, as children of God, to see the value and the worth that they have, not for what they do or for what they have, but just for being who they are. So think about that, and if you struggle, ask God to give you, to share His love with you, so that you can love them with His love, so that He can love them through you, so that you could see them with His eyes. And I think that changes the way you live your life. I know I've had struggles like that before, even with close family members, and praying that God will help me to see them as through His eyes has always helped me to get past that and to see them through God's eyes. So that's our challenge, I guess, for the week. Anything else that you want to add?
Nope. Thank you for watching. Our time is up. We're going to be here live again next Thursday at 8 o'clock Pacific time. And just remember to like these videos if you like them. All of you that are watching right now, like them, share them to your blog. If you find it helpful for yourself, obviously.
Bye, everyone.
Oh, he's already saying bye.
Bye.
We're not done yet. Just know that it can help somebody out there as well too, you know. So if you find it valuable to your life, please share it. We love doing, you know, these videos. We love spending time with you guys. Even though Ricky mentioned, you know, yeah, we have our life with our kids. You know, this is their time, their free time, so they like it. But we love what we do, you know, and so it's always a challenge. But that's what makes us better in this world, you know. And so you know how Ricky said, you know, sometimes we have to get out of our comfort zone and challenge ourselves to touch other hearts out there, you know. So you could do the same thing as well. So like them, share them on your page. Remember to subscribe at thejoneslife.com.
No, thejones.life.
There you go, thejones.life. And subscribe on YouTube. We have YouTube videos. We'll be posting more about homeschooling, about a lot of things.
Let us know what you want us to talk about. If you have ideas for future shows, future episodes, leave a comment below and let us know.
Yes,
we
now.
We don't do this for ourselves. We do this for you. So we hope that you're finding value in this. We value you. And we just hope and pray that these videos are being helpful to others. So if you can let us know if this video is a blessing to you, you know, just let us know. Just say thank you for the video, so that encourages us to keep going. Because this is a challenge for us too. You know, like Johana said, we've got our family life, we've got work, we've got all kinds of stuff. So
scream at me.
Sorry about
Jeez.
that. So
we have a life.
I have a dream. No.
You want to say bye?
So thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. If you're listening on the podcast, and we will see you next week. Have a blessed week. Say bye guys.
Bye.